presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Detroit.
Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is presented by Bell Tire. Gorgeous spring afternoon here in Central Florida as spring training 2013 rolls on. We welcome you to Joker Marchant Stadium in Lakeland, Florida. They're hanging on to the berm this afternoon. Welcome to the Detroit Tigers and the Tampa Bay Rays. Hi again, everyone, and welcome to Tigers Baseball. Mario and Bemba alongside Rod Allen. Thrilled to have you with us this afternoon for the second of our 4 spring telecasts this year. And Rod, as we get deeper into spring training, we're getting a better look now at the middle of the Tigers lineup. And in my opinion, at least, 3, 4, and 5 as good as it gets in baseball.
Well, there's no doubt about that. I'm right there with you. The only 3, 4, 5 in comparison to this 3, 4, 5 is the one out west, and that would be in the Los Angeles Angels with Pujols and Hamilton and Trumbo. But you take a look at what these guys have done over the courses of their career. Not only do they hit with average, they hit with runners in scoring positions. They make all-star teams. They're very unselfish players, and neither of the players in their last full year struck out a 100 times.
All right, now Victor Martinez provided a lot of protection for Miguel Cabrera 2 years ago. He'll do the same for Prince Fielder this year.
Well, we saw what Prince was able to do batting behind Miguel Cabrera last year, but one of the things that Jim Leyland had difficulty with was finding someone to bat fifth, someone to protect Prince Fielder last year. He will have the luxury of having Martinez there, and we know what Victor did 2 years ago, 394 with runners in scoring position. His on-base percentage was over 400. I'm predicting Prince Fielder to have an MVP-type season this year with the protection of Victor Martinez right behind him.
And we look forward to seeing Victor on the broadcast here this afternoon. Stay with us today. We'll give you a lot more information on how you can get your Tigers tickets this year. 2013 shaping up to be a terrific year in the Motor City. Coming up today, one of the strengths of the Tigers pitching staff this year should be Doug Fister. Mr. Fister on the hill today. Tigers and Rays coming up from Lakeland, Florida next.
Hyundai.
Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by Comerica Bank, a part of Detroit and the community since 1849. Spectacular afternoon here at Joker Marchant Stadium in Lakeland, Florida, as we get you ready for baseball this afternoon. Spring training style, the Tampa Bay Rays in town to take on the Detroit Tigers. And, of course, the Rays managed by Joe Madden, who's done a terrific job in his tenure with the Rays. Year after year, it looks like this team is typically around the 90-win mark, and who knows, this year might be the same. The record for Joe Madden, 585 and 549 in his 8th season as the skipper of the Rays. Well, it's an absolutely gorgeous afternoon. Early this spring, we had chilly temps, but now, Rod, we're complaining about how hot.
Well, you knew it would get nice. That much is for certain. Take a look at Fister's numbers. 5 games so far this year. 3 of those have been starts. 11 innings. He's been hit around just a little bit. The command hasn't been quite Fister-like, but expect him to get on track with only a couple of more starts left in spring training this year.
And we're ready for baseball this afternoon. Desmond Jennings leads it off and swings and misses at the first pitch. We're underway from Joker Marchant Stadium. And Jennings being counted on to provide a little bit more offense this year. This is a Rays team that lost a couple of key pieces from their team last season offensively.
Huge shoes for Jennings to fill. No question he can run them down in center field, but B.J. Upton hit 28 homers last year and was a big part of what they did offensively. They're hoping with Jennings, if he stays healthy this year, that he could provide some offensive punch in that leadoff spot.
Here is Doug Fister's 0-2, and a wave and a miss. Down he goes. Fister has his first strikeout of the game. Here's the Rays starting lineup today, presented by the Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. You saw Desmond Jennings lead it off. Ben Zobrist, fresh off the WBC, is batting second, followed by Matt Joyce, Luke Scott, Sean Rodriguez, Jack Cust in the middle, Roberts, Jimenez, and Lobatone, your bottom 3 for the Rays this afternoon. Ben Zobrist was playing for Team USA. He is now back in camp with the Rays. .235 this spring for Tampa. He shoots one foul back out of play.
And Ben Zobrist has a little bit of catch-up work to do because he was playing in the World Baseball Classic for Team USA. He was not a starter on their team, therefore did not get a lot of at-bats. And, of course, the USA, they're back home now.
They are indeed eliminated from that tournament. Bouncer right back up the middle. Long run for Infante. And he throws it out nicely down for Omar.
That is one area, and I was talking to Rafael Belliar, the infield instructor, before the game today. He talked about with Infante being at second base and anchored there all year this year, and the addition of Torrey Hunter in right field, their defense will be markedly better than it was a season ago. Of course, you got the big boys on the corner, Cabrera and Fielder, and Peralta's hands at shortstop, as good as any shortstop for me in the American League.
There's Torrey Hunter back out there in right field today. Of course, 9 gold gloves in his back pocket with the Minnesota Twins. And a strike called on Matt Joyce, the former Tiger. Joyce batting in the 3 slot today, .267 this spring. He batted .241 last year, provided a little bit of pop in the lineup for Joe Madden. And he shoots this one to right field, straight at Hunter. And it's going to be a 1-2-3 inning for Doug Fister. Good start for the Tigers right-hander. Let's go to the bottom of the first. No score as we head to the bottom of the first inning here in Lakeland, Florida. Jim Leyland starting his 8th season as the skipper of the Detroit Tigers. Led them to the World Series again last year, hoping to do the same here in 2013. And the skipper has turned in his lineup card today, presented by the Southeast Michigan Ford dealers. Austin Jackson, Torrey Hunter, and Miguel Cabrera at the top. Fielder Martinez, then Dirks. And a bottom 3 today of Peralta, Avila, and Infante. So by and large, most of the starters you will see on opening day, and they will face Jeremy Hellickson.
Well, he's a quality starter. You look at the numbers. He has a 5.40 ERA in 3 games, 1 start, but he has a really good stuff. Fastball anywhere from 89 to 93. Real good curveball. Fields his position well. He throws a changeup, gets lots of ground balls. Jeremy Hellickson is one of those guys you don't hear a lot about, but you look at his numbers and you read his bio. He has been one of the best pitchers in the American League the last couple of years.
I agree with that. Last year, his record was sub 500, but that, I think, had a lot to do with the fact they didn't give him any runs.
Did not get him any at all.
So Hellickson ready to go to work on a bright, sunshiny afternoon here in Lakeland. Austin Jackson will start things off for the Tigers offense today. AJ this spring at 222. And Jackson looks at one right down the middle for strike 1. Hellickson out of Des Moines, Iowa. I mentioned last year a sub 500 record, but a very good ERA of 3.10. Now the 0-1 pitch. Jackson looks at strike 2, and very quickly he is down to the count. Quite a year last year for Jackson. Hit 300 for the first time in his career, hit 16 home runs, so he was able to balance the average with the power last year. The power numbers were up. Now the 0-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Last year when spring training began, all we talked about regarding Jackson was the fact that he had gotten rid of that leg kick that he had used in 2011, and he was more of a conventional, just pick the leg up and put it back down, not up with that leg so high, and he went on and have a really good year.
The 1-2 is swung on and missed, and Jackson goes down. Hellickson has his first strikeout of the afternoon.
Take a look at the Rays' defensive alignment this afternoon by Joe Madden. Their manager Joyce is in left, Jennings is in center. You have Luke Scott over in right, Jimenez is at first, Rodriguez Zobrist up the middle, and Roberts over at third, and Jose Lobaton is behind the plate.
You know, the Rays have won a lot of games over the years based largely on their pitching and their defense, but their defense took a step back last year. They're hoping to tighten that up this season. There's a strike called on Torrey Hunter.
Well, when you don't have Longoria at third base and he misses as many games as he missed last year, your defense is not going to be as good.
Hunter last year hit .313 with the Angels, signed to the offseason in November. Signed a 2-year deal with Detroit. And so Hellickson continues to get ahead. 0-2 now on Torrey. I don't think we had any doubts that Hunter would assimilate himself into the Tiger clubhouse as easily as he has. I mean, he just has walked in from day one and has fit in beautifully.
He's a quality individual. One of the best guys in the game.
Here's the 0-2. Shot to right field. That'll get down. Looks like extra bases. Into the corner it goes. Luke Scott will dig it up. And Hunter streaking around second. He's going to go to third. Here comes the throw, and he is safe. It is backed up down there by Hellickson. Hunter hit the bag at second and never stopped.
Not a quality pitch here by Hellickson with the count being no balls and 2 strikes. He gets too much plate with his fastball, and Torrey said last year for one of the first times in his career he wasn't counted on to be a power hitter. He was just trying to put the ball in play, and he laces that ball down in the right field corner, and then once he gets to second he feels like I can get to third, and he does so with a head first slide.
Doesn't look like he has lost a step at all.
He talked about early in his career with Minnesota Twins, he batted in the middle of the batting order. He always was called upon to hit home runs, but the last few years with the offense that he was in Los Angeles didn't have to do so.
Here is Cabrera, and he'll line the first one into left center field, a base hit. That'll score Hunter, and Miguel Cabrera picking up this spring where he left off last year. That's his 11th RBI this spring.
Cabrera pulls his hands in on inside fastballs about as nicely as any right-handed hitter in the game.
Well, we talked at the top of the broadcast about the middle of the Tigers lineup and how dynamic they should and will be this year. And Cabrera has already chipped in with an RBI single as Prince Fielder digs in. And as you can see, Prince having a nice spring at 353. There's ball one to Prince. Fielder this spring, 9 RBIs. And they've got him played around toward right field on the infield. Only one defender to the left of second base. Here's the 1-0.
Joe Madden moves his defenders around about as much as any manager in baseball. He definitely tries to play the percentages, and the percentages tell him that Prince, when he hits the ball on the ground, obviously hits the ball to the right side of the infield. But we watched Prince last year get a lot of hits the opposite way. Very unselfish-like.
There's another ball hit the other way. This one to the third baseman, Roberts. And his throw is in time. Meanwhile, Cabrera heading to third, and he is going to be safe.
Hellickson appeared to think that that was a force play, because it looked like Hellickson may have had time to tag Cabrera, but he just ran right across the bag. Take a look at it. It's a great heads-up play by Cabrera, and Tom Brookins, the third base coach, always talks about how heads-up Cabrera is. With Rodriguez playing out of position as far as that third base is concerned, Roberts, no way to get back there.
The other thing on that play was, as routine as that appeared, Prince Fielder made that extremely close.
That does not surprise me.
I mean, he was busting it down the line, and here we are in the middle of spring training, and he just plays with one gear. Head down.
Looks like he's in great shape, too.
So with 2 outs, Tigers have a runner at third. Here is Victor Martinez. Strike one on Victor.
Gene Lamont is now the bench coach for Jim Leland, and it looked like he was talking to Prince. It looked like Prince was trying to hit the ball down toward third base, and I could tell by their conversation that's what they were talking about.
Martinez drives this one foul.
Let's take one more look at Cabrera. Not one time did he look over to get any kind of help whatsoever from the third base coach, Tom Brookins. He knew that Roberts, the shortstop, the third baseman, I should say, was playing the shortstop position, and there would be no one at third base, therefore able to get himself over to third.
So once again, Hellickson ahead in the count. Martinez has knocked in 4 this spring. And that's driven to center field and a base hit. So once again, the middle of the Tigers lineup getting it done. A 2-out RBI single for Victor.
Well, we talked about the middle of the batting order at the top of the telecast, with Miguel batting third, Fielder now batting fourth, and now they have Victor Martinez back, a healthy Victor Martinez, who hit .394 2 years ago, the last time he was healthy, with runners in scoring position. And he also drove in 100 runs, Mario, and he only had 12 home runs.
Well, it's amazing, and that's one of the things that they've talked about. You know, when you talk about Martinez and will that year off have an effect on him, the type of hitter he is, maybe it'll have less of an effect than maybe a pure power guy. Here's Andy Dirks. He drives one down the right field line. That ball is hit well. It is hooking, and that ball is foul.
We are going to see a lot of this year. The Tigers 1 through 6 are very good. 5 of the 6 hit .300 last year. The only exception was Victor Martinez, and the last time he played, he hit 300 as well. So if Tigers starting pitching shows up, which I believe they will, and keeps the offense in games, Tigers are going to win their fair share.
What I'd like to know is how opposing pitching coaches and managers will view this Tigers lineup and how you attack them. Because, Rod, you often talk about finding one guy in the lineup, pitching around that guy, and then taking your chances with the rest of the lineup. But that's difficult to do with this starting nine.
Well, the one guy I would not mess with, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is Cabrera. I would make the other guys beat me. I would just not pitch to Cabrera whenever there was runners in scoring position. He's already proven that he's the best hitter in the game.
Now the 1-1. 2-1 on Andy Dirks. 297 this spring for Andy. 322 last year. Right in front of the plate, foul. 2-2 the count stays. Dirks last year absolutely hammered right-handed pitching to the tune of 336. And with the release now of Brennan Bosch, things are becoming a little bit more clear in the outfield.
Tigers are still looking for that right-handed bat, someone to complement Andy Dirks on occasion and give him an occasional night off.
On the ground, back up the middle. Rodriguez able to surround it to end the inning. But the Tigers score first in this one. 2 runs on 3 hits. RBI hits from Cabrera and Martinez. And it's 2-0 Detroit.
This is
Cabrera with 1 of 2 RBI singles for the Tigers as we head to the top of the second. 2-0 in favor of Detroit. On a sparkling afternoon here today in Lakeland. Luke Scott will lead things off. It'll be Scott, then Sean Rodriguez and Jack Cust for the Tampa Bay Rays facing Doug Fister. Doug had a snappy first inning, got him 1-2-3. Fister last year a 10-game winner, had a very good ERA of 3.45. That's a little high and away. 2 balls and no strikes.
You'd have to believe that the stuff that Fister features, he'll win a lot more than 10 games, especially if he stays healthy all year. He really wasn't healthy all season. A couple different stints on the disabled list. He finally got healthy down the stretch, and he pitched like the Doug Fister that we saw when the Tigers made the deal for him and got him from Seattle in 2011. He was very good second half of the year.
Well, I think you hit on the key, keeping him healthy, because he had 2 stints on the DL, as you say, with a strain in his side, and obviously for a pitcher that's not an injury that is going to be welcome. But down the stretch he was very good. Breaking ball is in for a strike. 2-1 breaking ball. Evens up the count now, 2-2.
And he features a few different pitches. He has a firm fastball that'll get up to 92, 93. He's got a really good cutter that sometimes acts like a slider, and that over-the-top lollipop curveball we just witnessed.
And he missed outside, run at full now, 3-2. Well, you see with Seattle, he was 12-30. He comes to Detroit, gets a little bit of run support. 18 wins last 2 seasons with the Tigers and a 2.95 ERA. And he lost him, so Luke Scott gets a leadoff walk here in the second.
Looking to score opening day tickets. 2013 Tigers season ticket packages are on sale now for as low as $374. Call 866-66-TIGER or visit tigers.com.
Looking forward to it. Opening days creeping up on us. Tigers open up in Mini this year and then come home to take on the Yanks. Ball 1 missing to Sean Rodriguez.
It won't be cold in Mini, will it?
Well, I think it was 7 degrees there the other day. Oh. So I'm hoping it warms up a little bit more than that.
Where's that Metro Dome when you need it?
Hey, you were complaining. Runner goes, and it's foul back out of play.
That is nothing new for Joe Madden managed squads, and there's no doubt that he'll do a lot of that this year. I mean, they just don't have a lot of stock in their lineup. Therefore, Joe Madden, he'll try to manufacture quite a few runs. He spent 31 years in the Angels organization. The last 12 of those, he was underneath Mike Scioscia, that manager out there. So I think he brings a lot of Mike Scioscia to the way he manages on a day-to-day basis. His teams are very aggressive on the base paths.
Hit hard to left field, a base hit. Sean Rodriguez with a solid single to left. So the first 2 reach here for the Rays.
Last couple of years, at least 2 of the last 3 years, they've led the league in walks under Derek Shelton, their hitting coach, but they've had difficulty getting those runners to touch home plate. They were 9th in runs scored in the American League last year, and yet, as I mentioned, they led the league in walks. So they just need to find some people to knock some guys in.
Here was Jack Cust, who's had some big power years in the big leagues. Well, one of the things when you look at the Rays offense is that they lost a couple of key pieces in Upton and Carlos Pena, but those guys combined for 350 strikeouts.
And that's exactly what Derek Shelton told me today. He did not mention those 2 by name, but he did say they swung and missed a lot. He expects them to make much better contact this year with the cast of characters that they have. Therefore, he feels like they'll do a better job of scoring runs.
Meanwhile, 1-0 on Jack Cust, the DH today for the Rays. And there's a strike, even the count at 1-1.
Jack Cust, the former #1 draft choice of the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's been with several different clubs lately. And he's also been known as a guy that will swing and miss.
Yes, he is, but he can hit some balls out of the park as well. At 33 1 year with the A's. And a strike call, 1-2. Now, would he qualify as country strong, or is he not quite there?
No, not quite there. I'm not ready to give that country strong label to anybody yet.
You're going to have to sooner or later. 1-2 on Cust. Swing and a miss.
That is such a difficult pitch for hitters to pick up. One, because Fister stands 6 feet 8 inches, and then he throws that ball straight over the top. And it's got about 4 feet of break in it once it gets toward the hitting zone, and your eyes go from one level down to the next level, and it's a very difficult pitch to pick up.
And it's the second strikeout of the afternoon for Doug. Here is Ryan Roberts, batting 176 this spring. Roberts has a very interesting nickname. They call him Tat Man because of all of his tattoos. There's one prominently on display there on his neck. They say he has over 30 of them.
Head to toe.
Head to toe, indeed.
How many you have?
0. It is going to stay that way. Here's Jackson at center. And there are 2 gone.
By the way, happy belated birthday to you, my friend.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I reached the big 5-0 yesterday, which is a milestone
that you've surpassed.
It's a nice okay. It's a nice number, though. Did you enjoy your day?
I did. I got a lot of well wishes from everyone in Twitter land and my family and friends as well. It was a nice day.
Good for you.
And also, Ken Daniels, the voice of the Red Wings on Fox Sports Detroit, shares a birthday with me as well. So, kind of odd. But neat nonetheless. Here is Jimenez. And a strike right at the knees. Jimenez, former Cleveland Indian, hit .260 last year and broke in with the Indians back in 2009. Ball outside. Rays have a few question marks this spring, trying to figure out their fifth starter, their backup catcher, and maybe their last arm in the bullpen. This is the time of spring, though, as most managers will start to zero in on those needs. And he shoots that one into right field, a base hit. Scott rounding third. They're going to send him home. Here comes Torrey's throw. It's up the line. It's an RBI single for Chris Jimenez.
It's a nice piece of hitting by Jimenez. It's a fastball that's up. Actually, it's a cutter that stays up, and he drives it the other way. And once Torrey got there, it looked like he got his feet kind of tangled up, which didn't allow him to get on as much on the throw as he would have liked. And Luke Scott able to come home and score.
Torrey last year in 134 games. He had 14 assists last season with the Angels.
Talking about a guy that won 9 Gold Gloves as a center fielder. Boy, did he make the transition to right field rather smoothly.
Seamlessly, and a guy with his credentials did it to accommodate some of the youth that the Angels had in their outfield.
He can play center field today. If he was on a squad that needed a center fielder. Of course, the Tigers have one of the best center fielders in the business.
Strike called on Jose Lobaton. Lobaton at 160 this spring. Ball outside. 1-2. Rays trying to figure out who's going to back up Jose Molina this year. Molina is in the WBC with his brother Yadier Molina for the Puerto Rican team. Now the 1-2.
I guess they have the championship game tonight. Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico, right?
They do indeed. Well, that one was awfully close. The Netherlands went a lot farther than I anticipated they would. That's low. 3-2.
That Dominican team. Stacked.
They're pretty boring, aren't they? They don't get excited all that much.
They don't.
Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. Championship game of the World Baseball Classic, which each year I think is gaining a little bit more momentum each time it's played. 3-2 with the runner going, and it's ball 4. And Fister now has walked a couple of batters in this inning. He's going to load the bases. Jim Leyland knows his starting rotation will be a strength this year. The only thing they have to decide right now is who will be in that 5 spot.
And which order he will have his 5 starters go out there. Beyond Verlander, he has not tipped his hand.
Good point. There's ball 1 to Desmond Jennings.
How much do you think plays into who he would like to give the honor of starting the very first game at Comerica Park?
I think it's a lot. You know, obviously you've got to go Verlander game 1, but I think there's definitely a lot to that. More than 40,000 fans in your home ballpark on opening day in Detroit, that is an honor.
I'm going to go out on a limb there, and I'm going to say that he's going to give that honor to Max Scherzer.
I agree with you. So assuming that he'll do that, you've got a 3-game series in Minnesota with Verlander in game 1.
And we'll see Fister. And we'll also see
Sanchez.
All the Nike guys are jealous. They try him on.
Good pitch. 1-2.
Every day that Jim talks to the media, there is someone that tries to get him to kind of tip his hand as far as the rotation is concerned. And he has a few of the writers kind of write down what they think, and every time they write it down and put it on his desk, he says, nope, you're wrong, but you're close.
Bouncing ball left side, and the hold it short. Peralta will get the force, ending the inning. Rays get on the board with an RBI hit from Jimenez.
He goes after Jennings. A couple of fastballs inside, which sets up this fourth pitch. A breaking ball down and away. Jennings was looking for something inside, and therefore he got the ground ball to shortstop to get the force out over to second base. That's our Bill Tyer, pitch by pitch.
So the Tigers lead it 2-1 here over the Rays. And for Detroit in their half of the second, it'll be Johnny Peralta leading it off. Peralta, Avila, and Infante. Johnny batting .211 this spring. Kind of bounced back from a step back that he took offensively last season, but he's come into camp in terrific shape. And I know we say that a lot about a lot of different guys, but for Johnny, I think it's a little bit significant. And maybe more so defensively than offensively, because I think it has improved his range a little bit.
And that's exactly what Jim Leland believes, and Rafael Belliard, who handles the infielders on a daily basis.
Here's the 1-0. On the ground left side, and off the glove of Robertson to left.
I was talking to Johnny a couple of days ago, and he says because he lost about 15 pounds in the offseason, a lot of it was by diet, a lot of it was a lot of running in the Dominican Republic. He just feels like he has much better agility at that position. We already know about his hands. His hands are about as steady as any shortstop in the AL.
But there's this misconception that he's not a very good fielding shortstop because his range might not be as good as some others, but he was second among American League shortstops last year in
2 years in a row.
Percentage.
2 years in a row.
So that's significant in itself. Here is Alex Avila. They ruled out a base hit, by the way. And Avila is having himself a pretty good spring. He's had 10 RBIs.
He's been aggressive with the bat, and that's one of the things that Jim and Lloyd McClendon have tried to get him to do the last couple of years. They have tried to get him in fastball counts to catch the ball out in front and look to be the aggressor in driving the ball to right field instead of hitting the ball the opposite way, which is what he did a lot of the last couple of seasons.
Avila possesses that short, compact swing. And he looks at strike two. Avila last year knocked in 48. provided one of the memorable moments early last season with a big home run, a walk-off home run against the Red Sox. It was Lloyd McClendon.
Legendary Lloyd McClendon.
Here's the 0-2. You know, it's almost like he's going to have to change that officially to his name, Legendary Lloyd.
He may as well.
Let's go down to City Hall, fill out the paperwork.
Is that Verlander down there camped out?
Yes, it is. 1-2 on Avila. Making 2 balls, 2 strikes on Alex. 278 this spring. Tigers signed Brian Pena to be his backup this year. Brian Holiday was sent down before the game today. The Tigers made some moves that we'll touch on in a little bit. They've begun to cut down the roster, and now when you walk into the clubhouse, there's a whole lot of room. The middle section of those lockers have been taken away.
One guy, and we might see again this year, and it may not be that long, and that would be Castellanos. Boy, can he hit. But Jim was saying before the game today he wants Nick to get as comfortable in that batter's box, in left field, as he is in that batter's box.
Waiting on the 2-2 here, Lobaton setting it low and away.
Here's a 2-2, and time was given to Avila very, very late. Well, for a guy, and you played obviously a lot of outfield in your career, what is the biggest adjustment going to have to be for Castellanos?
Well, he's just going to have to start to learn how to go back on balls. That's probably the toughest thing to do. You get reads off of left-handed bats that usually slice away from you. You have to learn that. Obviously, if you can play the outfield, whether it be in Florida or whether it be in Arizona, and you can do it effectively, you can play outfield anywhere. These skies are very difficult during spring training.
Wave and a miss, and Avila goes down swinging.
But the biggest thing is confidence. He has to be confident when he goes out there and that he can do the job.
Castellanos and Rondon, 2 of the most talked about prospects in camp this spring for the Tigers. Of course, Rondon has pitched a whole lot better of late. I don't think either one of us expected Castellanos to make the opening day roster. This comes as no surprise, but there's no doubt his bat is just about ready.
I think his bat is ready. I just think he just needs to get comfortable in the outfield. But there's really no need to rush him right now.
Here's Infante. Ball 1 outside. Yeah, that's one of the things the Tigers have going for themselves, is that they have a team that pretty much position by position is set. If this was 2003, Castellanos probably in the big leagues.
No question.
Peralta still at first following the leadoff single. Runner goes, and a bouncing ball to short. Silver's catch only 1 play.
Hit and run right there, put on by Jim Leland. And you'll start to see a lot of the managers, whether it be in the Cactus League out in Arizona, or whether it be here in the Grapefruit League, with a little under 2 weeks to go, they'll put some hit and runs on with guys in certain situations. We might see a squeeze play or 2. They'll play the infield in. They'll try to create as many situations as they possibly can down here in spring training to get their squads ready for April 1st.
We bring up Austin Jackson, a chance to drive in a 2-out run. Tigers ahead 2-1 as we play in the second here in Lakeland. Hellickson gave up singles to Cabrera and Martinez in the first, driving in the Detroit runs. Jackson struck out back in the first inning. In there for strike 1. Hellickson was drafted out of high school. In 2005, he has been able to roll, and I mean roll, through the minor leagues, and now getting it done at the major league level. Seems like the Rays just churn out pitching star after pitching star. High drive into center field. That ball is hit well. Jennings is on the run, still going back to the wall, can't get it. A Up against the wall, and Jackson is on his way to third base. 3-1 Detroit. They're going to bring him back to second and call it a double.
Jackson has hit the ball extremely hard this spring. Doesn't have a whole lot to show for it, but take a look at the balance here in the hands and the head directly down the baseball. He gets himself a breaking ball and absolutely drills it. And if Jennings in center field can't run it down, there aren't many center fielders that are going to run it down.
He almost made a basket catch, and you see it bounce over the yellow line, so it's a ground rule double. Give him an RBI, though, 3-1 Detroit. And they bring up Torrey Hunter. Torrey tripled to the right field corner his first time up. That is 5 Tigers hits now already off Hellickson. Now the 0-1. Time called, and again for the second time in this inning, late time given to a Tigers hitter.
Well, Hellickson, once he gets to his balance point, or I should say once he sets, he's been holding the baseball. Therefore, Vito elected to call timeout, and Torrey Hunter felt like he was making him wait a little bit too long as well.
Torrey drives one again the other way, but this one foul. 0-2 the count on Hunter. Jackson an RBI, Cabrera an RBI, Martinez as well. Early look at the Tigers box score in this one. (0-2) on Torrey Hunter. Hellickson has done a really good job of getting ahead of hitters for the most part today. Hasn't been able to finish too many off, though. Checked it low. They want the appeal. It's Jerry Lane down at first that he held up.
Good call by Jerry Lane.
One and 2 on Hunter. Get back out of play. Another big crowd here at Joker Marchant Stadium. This is something that we've seen the last couple of years, game after game after game. The Tigers in their 77th season here in Lakeland.
The Tigers have a real nice relationship with the city of Lakeland.
But there are not too many tickets to be had in spring camp. And a gorgeous afternoon right now. Tigers in Lakeland for 77 seasons, 48 of which have been here at Joker Marchant. High fly ball center field. Desmond Jennings camping under it. And that is that. So the Tigers add to their lead, and you're watching Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit, presented by Bell Tire. This afternoon, 3-1 as we go to the top of the third, and we remind you to vote for your Tigers McDonald's Player of the Game, presented by the Egg McMuffin, only at McDonald's. Using your cell phone, text Tigers followed by a space with the player's uniform number to 37338, or you can vote online at foxsportsdetroit.com.
They got a couple different Egg McMuffins now. Did you know that? They have one that is all egg whites.
You sound like a connoisseur.
Well, might have to try it. I haven't tried it yet.
Sounds good. Here's Ben Zobrist leading it off. Zobrist, Joyce, and Scott against the right-hander Doug Fister. Zobrist last year hit 20 home runs. In fact, now he's gone 20 homers each of his last 2 seasons with the Rays. Doug missing low and away, 2-0. Zobrist, a guy that can play multiple positions, which fits nicely into the schematic of Joe Madden. He loves guys that are versatile, can play a lot of different spots.
But the main reason why Zobrist is in that lineup every day is he hits. And there are quite a few guys on several teams that have the ability to play all over the diamond, but few have the ability to hit the ball the way that Zobrist does when he's right.
2-2 on Zobrist.
And Jim Hickey, their pitching coach there, seated right next to the manager, Joe Madden.
Checked it. 3-2. That has been quite a tandem the last few years. In fact, the Rays have won 92, or they've averaged 92 over the last 5 years, despite the fact that they don't have a whole lot of payroll to work with typically. It's popped up at home plate. And Avila handles it. 1 out. We'll bring up Matt Joyce. Hickey's done a fabulous job with their pitching staff.
Very underrated.
It seems like year after year after year they switch up the parts in that bullpen, and Hickey finds a way to make it work. I mean, look at what the Rays have done pitching-wise since Hickey took over as pitching coach in 07. Best staff ERA in the American League and the best bullpen ERA in the American League.
That kind of says it all.
And that's why they win as much as they have. And a strike call.
One thing we know about Doug Fister, when he is right, he works very quickly. He's very efficient. He throws lots of strikes. And very few can field the position as well as Doug can field his position, even though he's very, very tall.
6 feet 8 inches tall, but that doesn't seem to be a problem for Fister. Very athletic. Here's the 1-2. Just off the plate. Did not go. Two balls, 2 strikes. Matt Joyce, a former Tiger. He's ahead now, 3-2. Joyce was in the Edwin Jackson deal, wasn't he? A few years back.
Yes, he was.
Edwin pitching for 1 year in a Tigers uniform, was an all-star that year. Sounded like a broken bat. Shallow center field. Jackson comes over to make the play. 2 gone. It's funny we talk about Torrey Hunter and what effect he can have on Austin Jackson. There's really not a whole lot to improve for Jackson defensively.
There really isn't. I'm kind of surprised that Austin hasn't won a Gold Glove in the American League, but he definitely has a Gold Glove or 2 in his future.
Here is Luke Scott. Jackson and his numbers last season, 1 error. That's it. Here's Fister's 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike on Luke Scott, who, when he was a member of the Orioles, was an absolute Tiger killer. They could not get him out. 2-1. 308 career in 24 games, 25 career RBIs. And much of that damage as a member of the Orioles. Way out. 2-2.
Really nice arm speed with that changeup by Fister. You see fastball, actually it's a curveball. You see fastball and you see the same arm slot as the fastball, and all of a sudden the bottom just fell out of that curveball.
Pulled fair down the right field line. Scott rumbling towards second base. Hunter will get it back in. It's a 2-out, 2-base hit for Luke Scott. Just barely fair.
Back-to-back off-speed pitches, the second of which kind of stays up and he gets too much plate with it, and as you mentioned, that ball right on the chalk.
Two-out, 2-base hit keeps the inning going now for Sean Rodriguez. Singled his first time up, and he looks at strike one. Rodriguez, another one of those guys that is very, very versatile, can play just about any infield position. And he proved valuable for Joe Madden last year when Evan Longoria went down. It was Sean Rodriguez who had to fill in at third base for much of that time. Got a little bit of power in his bat. Behind in the count though, 0-2. Avila tried to smother it, unable to do it, and Scott will move up.
And Avila gets over it. He does smother it, but not able to keep it in front of him. And good heads-up base running by Scott. And a wise decision by Avila not to throw the baseball because he would not have had him.
Soft line drive to second. Doesn't matter as it's caught there by Infante to end the inning. No runs. Double is stranded for the Tigers. 3-4-5 coming up. Couple of runs early. It all started with a triple from Torrey Hunter.
You know, we started the telecast by talking about the Tigers' 3, 4, 5 hitters, and they haven't disappointed us. Miguel, he chips in with a single, drives in run. Victor Martinez also drives in a run, and Austin Jackson, looking to build on that 300 season he had last year, also drives in a big run here today. The Tigers hold a lead 3-1 over the Tampa Rays today.
In our Comerica Bank game summary, the Tigers bring that lead into the bottom of the third inning. Here's Cabrera to lead it off. And Miggy looks at strike one. RBI single for Cabrera. 11 driven in now this spring. And, of course, he missed some time at the World Baseball Classic. Playing for Team Venezuela. 1-1. I was talking to Lloyd McClendon about Miguel Cabrera and you know, trying to duplicate what he did last year. And Lloyd brought up a good point. He said, you know, his numbers really weren't all that different that they have been the last couple of years. He just happened to lead the league in those categories. So he expects that he'll probably be in that same range.
I would agree with Lloyd. He is the best right-handed hitter in the game. Hits for average, power. Drives in huge runs. And very seldom do you see Miguel take swings like we just witnessed. Very seldom is he off balance.
You only got one guy. Keeps running back.
5 straight years of 100 or more RBIs.
Hey, you want to be that? Yeah, you want to? Don't sit out here.
What a great trade that turned out to be for Dave Dombrowski. Bring Cabrera over from the Marlins. Pops this one up. Right side of the infield. Jimenez. 1 out. Bring up Prince Fielder. Prince 0 for 1. Played at all 162 last year, which now means he has a streak of 343 consecutive games played. Ellickson spins one outside.
Hit .313 last year. And 300 for the first time. He drove in 108 runs, and that's with Cabrera picking up just about everybody in front of him. Somehow he still managed to drive in over 100.
Yeah, that's a good point, and one that we really haven't talked a whole lot about because Cabrera did so much cleaning of the bases last year. But Fielder got it done. And you would expect we'll see much more of the same this year. 9 RBIs this spring. Tap foul down the first base line. You were talking about how he showed much more of a willingness to go the other way last year. And I think we both agree. A lot of that had to do with the fact that they didn't want to challenge him early last year. They were pitching him away, so he just simply took his base hits the other way.
That's correct. He was also learning a new league, learning new pitchers for the first time playing in the American League. Hellickson, even though he does not have an overpowering fastball, he's not afraid to come inside with a fastball. He was able to jam Miguel Cabrera with a fastball that he popped up to first base. And he's already thrown one fastball aggressively inside to Prince.
Well, the Rays are hoping that Hellickson will give them 200 innings this year. They need to have someone step up, pick up the pace now that James Shields is gone. They dealt him to the Royals in the offseason for their top prospect, Will Myers.
Yeah, James Shields had done that 6 straight years for the Rays pitching staff.
Bouncing ball, right side of the infield, fielded by the shortstop Zobrist, who was played around the other side of the bag, so that's a 6-3 bounce off. 2 gone. Here's Victor. RBI hit back in the first for Martinez. Martinez, even his young days with the Cleveland Indians, hit the ground running as a major leaguer. I mean, he came to the big leagues and immediately hit. He has hit over 306 times now in his career. Made the All-Star team 4 times.
But really, the Tigers didn't know how effective he would be as an everyday designated hitter, because before they signed him 2 years ago to that 4-year contract, he was an everyday catcher. He did play some first base on occasion, but until you get a guy and you put him in that slot, you don't really know if they'll be able to adapt to it at all. And he did it flawlessly.
Back up the middle, and the second baseman Rodriguez on the backhand. Hellickson has himself a 1-2-3 inning. We go to the fourth in Lakeland.
Really try to help one another constantly, whether we're in the locker room or in spring training or during the regular season. Everybody's always constantly talking about a pitch, or how are you doing, how are you approaching, what are you thinking, how are you preparing, and it's always a constant constant group effort to really making everybody better.
That's Doug Fister talking about the chemistry that this pitching staff has. And I think, Rod, you could take it one step further. I think they kind of feed off each other. When Verlander goes down and pitches well, Scherzer wants to match him, and then Fister wants to match Scherzer, and so on.
And we watched that several times last year, how this pitching staff fed off each other. It's one of the best staffs in all of baseball. I mean, you look at the number 5 starter, a guy named Ricky Porcello, in my opinion, is going to get that 5th spot. He's won 48 big league games.
Jack Husk leading it off. Driven in the air toward left, hit pretty well. Wind is carrying it out there, and Dirks goes to the wall but can't pull it in. And Dirks appears to be hobbled a little bit. So that'll be an opposite field double for Jack Husk.
And that's one of the things that Jim has talked about. He has to make sure that he watches Andy Dirks very closely this year. He plays the game hard. He plays the game the right way, and because of that, every now and then he will run into a wall or two, as he does there. He comes up hobbled, but he appears to be okay and staying in the game. And it's one of the reasons why Jim said they want to have a right-handed bat, so he can give Andy about 400 ABs and give whoever that right-handed complement bat is about 200 at-bats. And he feels like if he does that, Andy Dirks will have a good year.
Here's Ryan Roberts. Strike one to Roberts. Well, Andy had a terrific year last year, hit over 300. But he spent a couple of months on the disabled list with Achilles tendonitis. On the ground, a first baseman off the glove of fielder. Everybody is safe. Cusk will move to third, and the Rays have something going now. That was spinning off the bat. Pretty routine, right? Prince, that'll be an error.
Yeah, he did everything but catch it. And he got down in a good position. Looked like he was on the balls of his feet, but just couldn't corral it.
2 on, nobody out. Here's Chris Jimenez.
Well, here's where Fister's at his best. He knows how to work at the bottom of the zone, whether it be with a really good two-seam fastball or something off speed to get the ground ball.
0-1 on Jimenez.
And that is one area where the Tigers really need to improve, and that's turning the double play ball when their pitchers throw it. They did not do a very good job of that last year.
Yeah, that was a weakness that I think really put extra burden on the pitching staff. Failure to turn a double play in some key spots last season.
And Johnny Peralta had about 4 different second base partners during the course of last year until Infante showed up at the trade deadline.
Runner goes, and it's bunted foul as Jimenez tried to get out of the way, and a pitcher was pouring in on it.
That looked like that may have been a missed sign by someone. And because Scott at third base, he doesn't move. Jimenez squares to bunt, and the runner on first base takes off. Safety squeeze perhaps, but you wouldn't think that there would be a safety squeeze with Cust at third base. He doesn't run well.
Meanwhile, Fister ahead of the count now, 0-2. And he just missed inside.
That was a good pitch right there by Fister. And really what he's trying to do is set up this next pitch. Whatever this next pitch is going to be the pitch that he's trying to get the ground ball on.
Fister, each of the last 2 Septembers has been awfully good with the Tigers. 8-2 the final month of the season each of the last 2 years. ERA of under 2 in that span. And he just missed again, this one outside.
Great location. I don't know how Jimenez was able to lay off that curveball. He can throw that same pitch right here, and I doubt very seriously whether Jimenez will be able to lay off of it.
Whoa. Awfully close. Swing and a miss. Jimenez is out. And that's a start. 1 gone.
Yeah, good fastball here. Sinking fastball in on the hands of Jimenez. Real good movement on that two-seamer by Doug.
Lobaton had a base on balls back in the second. Tigers got 2 in the first, 1 in the second inning. They lead 3-1. Driven to right field, base hit. It'll get a run in. Cust will score, and it's 3-2. RBI for Jose Lobaton, his 4th of the spring.
And that is now the 5th hit that Fister has given up this afternoon.
Each side with 5 hits. Back up to the top of the lineup now, Desmond Jennings. He drops down a bunt foul. Jennings has bounced into a force and has a strikeout. Hitch is .246 last year, but he stole 31 bases, 31 out of 33 to be exact. And the 0-1. 1 ball and 1 strike.
And the 31 steals by Jennings. They tied him with B.J. Upton. B.J. Upton no longer with Tampa. Signed a 5-year contract to play center field for the Atlanta Braves. Avita's been awfully busy today, blocking several of those breaking balls down in the dirt.
Fister in his last start in Port St. Lucie against the Mets gave up just 1 run in 4 innings, struck out 4 in that game. But he gave up 4 runs against the Blue Jays in the start before that. A little bit outside. And now it goes 3-1. Strike called. Fill it now at 3-2.
Yeah, Joe Madden will not be afraid here to allow his runners to take off on the 3-2 count.
And we'll see if they're on the move. They will hold, and it's driven into center, a base hit. Roberts coming around third. He will score. Desmond Jennings has his first hit of the afternoon, the 6th for the Rays, and they've tied it up. 3-3 game.
Nice piece of hitting here by Jennings. He got himself a 3-2 breaking ball from Doug Fister. He stayed back. He kept his hands back and hit a seed right past Johnny Peralta.
So Fisker in this inning has been the victim of what has turned out to be a sizable error at first base, but he's also given up 3 hits. Here's Zobrist. He's not wasting any time as he lofts one to the left. Dirks has a beat on this one. 4-out number 2.
Hey fans, bring your group to Comerica Park for one of our unique special event nights. From Career Day to Polish American Night, we have something for everyone. Call 313-471-BALL or visit Tigers.com.
Memorize that number. It'll come in handy this summer. 471-BALL. Here's Matt Joyce now with 2 outs. Rays have tied it at 3 on RBI hits by Lobaton and Jennings.
Matt Joyce has been very valuable for Joe Madden since he was traded from the Tigers to Tampa against right-handed pitching, but he has struggled against left-handed pitching. That's one of the reasons why he is not an everyday player for Tampa. He has hit just .201 in his career against lefties.
Last season, as you mentioned, he struggled as well. He did hit 3 homers against lefties last year. Local kid out of the Tampa area. Was a 12th round pick originally of the Tigers back in 2005 and got to the big leagues just 3 years later with Detroit. 28 years old now. Fisker missing inside. 2-0.
That is something that, at least in the first few years that Jim was a manager of the club, not afraid to give the young kids an opportunity. The ones that showed him that they could play in spring training, he was not afraid to call those kids up during the regular season.
Swing and a miss. Well, it goes back to his first year when he had a couple of kids on the pitching staff, one of the rotation, one out of the bullpen, that both were dominant, Verlander and Zubaya.
And it helped the club get to the World Series.
And the 2-1. Lifted back out of play. 2-2 on Matt Joyce. This is a Rays team that will need to find some offense this year. There's JV, who last year in 33 starts won 17 games. Last year Tampa did not score a lot of runs. They didn't hit very well, as we've talked about. In fact, they hit 240 last year, yet they won 90 games.
Pitching staff.
David Price doesn't hurt when you have him at the top of your rotation. Winning the Cy Young. Jammed at that time. Joyce stays alive. 2-2.
And they also had a closer by the name of Fernando Rodney. That same Fernando Rodney that pitched for the Tigers, who had one of the best seasons as a closer in the history of the game.
Also, Price and Hellickson will be part of their rotation this year. Matt Moore. Here are the numbers from last year in the American League East. They finished 5 back, won 90 games. They were 5 out. Again, Avila has to go down to block another. Now it's 3-2.
Doug Fister about to throw his 25th pitch of the inning.
And it'll be with 2 runners in motion here with 2 outs. Here's the 3-2. He walked in. Ball 4. That will load the bases. It has not been a crisp effort this afternoon for Fister. Now he's going to have to face Scott here with bases loaded, 2 away. Third walk now for Fister. Scott, double and a walk and a run scored. High, towering drive right field and hit well. Torrey Hunter going back. He looks up, and that's a grand slam home run for Luke Scott. A no doubt about it home run to right. On the first pitch he saw from Doug Fister. Wow.
He got himself an 88-mile-per-hour fastball at the bottom of the zone, and most left-handers love the ball down. And with that uppercut swing, Torrey Hunter in right field only had to take a couple steps. That ball was over the scoreboard.
And that will signal the end to Doug Fister this afternoon. He'll walk off, having allowed 7 runs in this start today. And we have a Wallside Windows pitching change. We'll be back with the Rays now leading 7-3. For Doug Fister here today, gives up 7 runs, 6 of those here in the 4th inning. Again, the Tigers did commit an error in that frame, but the grand slam home run by Luke Scott, giving the Rays their first lead. And now lefty Kyle Lopstein, a Rule 5 selection from the Rays organization, will take over. And he delivers ball 1.
And Lopstein not overpowering. That fastball will get up to about 91 miles an hour. You see the numbers, 5.59 ER in 9 2/3 innings, giving up 14 hits in spring training.
Deep in the hole, it's short. Peralta surrounds it. And that is that. So Lopstein gets the job done against Sean Rodriguez. on Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by Arby's. Try Arby's New York style Reuben today. Arby's, slicing up freshness. Well, the Tampa Bay Rays, on the strength of a grand slam home run from Luke Scott, have taken a 7-3 lead over the Tigers. As we go to the bottom of the fourth inning from sunny Lakeland. Mario and Pemba, Rod Allen, glad you're with us today. Joe Nicholas, our producer. Gary Nicholas, our director this afternoon from Lakeland. Glad you are with us today. The Tigers have some work to do now offensively. Skipper having a chat with home plate umpire Larry Vano.
It must have something to do with Dirks. I don't know if Dirks is done playing or if he's being attended to by Tigers medical staff after he ran into that wall off the double off the bat of Jack Cuss last half inning.
Yeah, Andy scheduled to lead off here in the bottom of the fourth inning. And it looks like we'll get a pinch hitter, so Dirks is done for the afternoon. Don Kelly has picked up some batting gloves and a bat.
Well, here's that play we're talking about last half inning off the bat of Jack Cust. Andy Dirks runs and then he appears to come up hobbled, and I guess the one thing that you're not going to do as a manager is take any chances the last 10-12 days of spring training.
And it didn't appear that Dirks came off the field immediately and said, I can't play, because Kelly, somewhat surprised, had to pick up a bat and come off the bench. And now Andy walking back to the clubhouse area down the right field line. So they don't want to take any chances with Dirks. There he goes. And so Don Kelly will bat. First pitch in for a strike from Jeremy Hellickson.
And Don Kelly, non-roster invitee to spring training this year. But I have a feeling when the team heads to Minnesota on the 30th of March, he will be with the team on that plane, and he will be on their 25-man roster.
Can't say that I disagree with that, and really he's come a long way. I mean, after the Tigers sent him down late in the season, he had that big sacrifice fly in the series against the Athletics in the postseason, driving in the winning run. That skied left side of the infield, battling the sun. Zobrist. Tough play.
I was talking to Don Kelly yesterday, and he said he had an opportunity to sign with about 5 different teams. All of them would have been non-roster invitees, non-roster invite to spring training. But he said he felt most comfortable here because he knew exactly what he would get. He knew Miguel Cabrera would leave to go play for the WBC for Venezuela, so he'd get a lot of opportunities here, and he's very familiar with his coaching staff.
Here's Johnny Peralta. High fly ball to right field. This one is hit pretty well. Scott had a little trouble with it and makes the basket catch. 2 gone. Well, I would think, Rod, all things being equal, wouldn't you want to come back to the organization that is familiar with you and that you are familiar with?
Oh, no doubt about that. He played center field yesterday, the first time he had played in the outfield all spring training. And he played third, he has played first. Now he's going to find himself in the outfield for the second consecutive day.
Here's Alex Avila with 2 outs. 7-3, Rays have the lead, courtesy of a 6-run fourth. Hellickson starting to settle in a little bit now. That's 6 in a row he's retired. 1 ball to no strikes on Avila. Hellickson out of Des Moines, Iowa. Pulled on the ground at first. Stumbling play by Jimenez, but it's going to be a 1-2-3 inning for Hellickson. Tigers go in order. We go to the 5th.
Tigers have some catch-up work to do. They are trailing Tampa Bay 7-3, top half of the 5th inning. And if you're looking to score opening day tickets, 2013 Tigers season ticket packages are on sale now for as low as $374. Call 866-66-TIGER or visit tigers.com, and Paws might just pick up the phone.
You know, it's amazing because Paws doesn't have any thumbs. So the fact that he's able to handle the phone like that, it's pretty amazing, don't you think? Well, I know, like you, Ron, I am excited about this coming season. It's more of an event at Comerica Park. So much for the kids to do. And should be another fun summer as Don Kelly takes over in left field for Andy Dirks.
And it's such a quality team. I mean, all around baseball, no matter where you go down here in Florida, everyone wants to talk about this Tigers team. And just like last year, many of the experts across the country have picked this Tigers team to get through their division and into the World Series.
Kyle Lobstein back to work, and he is facing Jack Cust, who is leading things off. Lobstein pitched in the Rays organization last year at Double-A, and then the Mets selected him in the Rule 5 draft, and the Tigers then picked him up for the Mets, so he retains his Rule 5 status. And he missed it outside. 2-1 the count. And for those of you that are not familiar with what happens with Rule 5 picks, he would have to stay at the major league level all year or be offered back to the team that he was drafted from. Missed it again. 3-1.
Or the Tigers could offer the Rays another player,
right,
and make a trade for a Lobstein.
Here's the 3-1. Have you talked to Jeff Jones about Lobstein at all and gotten his impressions about it?
Not much.
Well, he's left-handed, which is always a positive.
I did talk to Al Avila, the assistant general manager, and this was early in spring training, and he thought that, it was a long shot, but he says, they were looking at him as possibly being a starter. Tigers have always looked for that left-handed starting pitcher. And they just felt like he may be one of those guys in the future that could be in the rotation. Not a hard thrower. He's not the kind of guy that usually is accustomed to one of the starters that Dave Dombrowski has on the roster. But if you show pitchability and you can get guys out at this level, it doesn't really matter if you're throwing 95 miles an hour.
Well, that's 4 walks now for the Tigers pitching staff in this game as Ryan Roberts digs in. Roberts reaching on an error by Prince Fielder in the 4th, which opened up the doors for a big inning for the Rays, a 6-run inning. That's skied in the air toward right. Long run for Hunter. Torrey on the move, not going to get there, but it's foul. Roberts spent time with Arizona and Tampa last year. He's also played for Texas, Toronto in his major league career. Here's the 0-1. Again, Avila down to the dirt to block one. Mid-season form for Alex today. Drafted by the Blue Jays back in 2003. We talk about Alex Avila. I ran into Al, his father, outside of the hotel last night. They were getting ready to go to dinner, and that's got to be an awesome situation for a player to have that kind of support system right there with you. Of course, Al, the assistant general manager of the ball club. Here's the 1-1. That's in the air to right. This one's playable for Torrey. One out. Well, let's see what's coming up this year on Fox Sports Detroit. How about this? We'll do 152 games on FSD. Fox National will have 8 more of those games for the Tigers this year. It all kicks up with the opener in Minnesota.
Interleague games against Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Washington. And the Washington Nationals also come to Comerica Park. That's a good baseball team. Washington Nationals.
No doubt. Here's Jimenez. He looks to strike. What are your thoughts on the Tigers finishing the season with an interleague series in Miami?
I think it's going to be nice. We have a day off there.
Oh, see, that's how you're looking at it. I'm talking about how it affects the pennant race. Not the fact that we can go to the beach.
Oh, they haven't wrapped up by then.
That's true. The 0-1 is grounded foul, 0-2. Well, interleague play has been dispersed from really the beginning to the end of the season now. It used to be a couple of different sets in the middle of the summer, but with Houston coming over to the American League, interleague play is now becoming more and more a part of Major League Baseball.
I was watching something on TV, and I'm almost thinking that the Angels this year open up in Cincinnati. So you have an American League team opening up the season in a National League city.
Not a fan of that. Although, as we've talked about, interleague play now is becoming more and more a part of the schedule. Not only that, but you've got a warm weather city opening up in the Midwest, which is kind of odd. Nothing but warm weather here today. A glorious afternoon in Lakeland. The Rays over the Tigers 7-3 right now in the 5th inning. Lobstein last year at Montgomery was an 8-game winner. He made 27 starts. Native of Flagstaff, Arizona, Kyle Lobstein. Only 23. Foul back. Tigers really coming into camp this year did not have too many decisions to make. The major decision, obviously, is who would close games, and Bruce Rondon has taken some major steps, I think, in his last couple of outings.
Well, they gave him a little bit of a breather, and they allowed him to take a step back after the first couple of outings where he really struggled with his command. They tweaked a few things in his delivery.
Driven to right field, base hit. Cussed around second, coming to third. He's in there. Now they got the run hung up between first and second. And they'll run him down, and Jimenez is out.
That's bad base running by Jimenez. They have done a very nice job with 2 strikes today. We've seen several of these Rays hitters kind of shorten their swing, but Jimenez gets down there, and Torrey Hunter alertly throws behind him and gets the ball to Peralta. Peralta cuts it off. Prince Fielder standing right there. And they were able to execute the rundown perfectly.
Nine, 6, 3, 4. 2 outs now. And ball 1 to Jose Lobaton. RBI single for Lobaton in his last at bat. And that was part of that 6-run 4th inning. Swing and a miss. 1-1.
Good change piece there.
One and 2 on Lobaton.
Lobaton looking for another changeup. Another good fastball inside. He might get strike 3, and I doubt very seriously if he'll pull the bat off his shoulders.
Low and in, 2-2 the count.
Sometimes from our vantage point, you could just see when hitters are looking for a certain pitch and sitting on certain pitches.
Checked it, went around. Strike 3 to end the inning. They threaten but do not score. Lobstein gets it done in the 5th. Bottom 5 here at Joker Marchant Stadium on a gorgeous afternoon. 7-3 in favor of the Rays. And if the Tigers today combine for 3 or more home runs, bring a copy of the box score to a participating Arby's location. Do that tomorrow. Get a free small order of curly fries. Tigers got to get the bats going. They trail 7-3 here. Omar Infante will lead things off to the bottom of the 5th. Luke Scott out of the game. Leslie Anderson is your new right fielder for the Rays. We're getting to the part of the game now, middle of this game, where you might see some guys filter in. Anderson is the first. Infante looks at a breaking ball, strike 1. Omar in this game 0 for 1. A bounce out his first time up. Sends this one in the air to left. Joyce going back to the wall. Up against the wall. With a basket catch. Thought we had our first homer. The first of 3 hopefully today for the Tigers. But he fell short.
It's one thing you can do when you are playing in the outfield. And down here in Florida, you can play deep. And because usually there's a lot of wind and balls when they get up in the air, they travel.
Austin Jackson. AJ with a double and a strikeout of this game, plus an RBI. Rod, we talk about different milestones that players try and reach throughout the course of the year. Pitchers love to win 20 games, obviously. Sluggers want to drive in 100. You know, the good hitters want to hit 300. I think the leadoff guys want to reach that 100 plateau in the run score.
When you're doing that, you know that you've had a very successful season. If you're touching home plate 100 times. And Jackson has the ability to do that.
Well, he has done it in 2 of his first 3 major league seasons, including last year.
He also led the league in triples last year with 10. Really the only part of his game that's missing is his ability to steal more bases. And he does have the speed to do that. And they've been working with Jackson, trying to get him to get some better jumps at first base, which would allow him to steal 20, 25 bags. In his defense, though, Jim Leland many times will give him the stop sign because you have such talented hitters hitting behind you, and the one thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to run yourself into outs.
Here's the 3-1. Well, how much is teaching a guy to get better jumps as opposed to, as we take a look at Jackson doubles first at bat, as opposed to learning pitchers and learning how to steal bases against the guys that you're going up against?
I think they go hand in hand. I think if you really want to be an elite base stealer, you have to start to study some video on some of the starting pitchers that you might go up against on any given night, and hopefully they'll give you some of their tendencies, whereas you know exactly when they're going to deliver the ball to home plate, which would allow you to get a better jump. 3-2
pitch. Tap slowly back up the middle. Zobrist going to have to hurry. Safe at first base.
That is an example of one guy that's out in front of a breaking ball, and Jackson is out in front of this pitch, which really allows him to get a couple of steps out of that batter's box. And by the time Zobrist gets to it and throws off balance, and it didn't take very much time getting the ball from the glove to the throwing hand and on its way over to first base, Jackson gets himself an infield single.
The Tigers have their 6th hit this afternoon.
Nice 4-2.
We'll bring up Torrey Hunter. Tripled, scored around in the first.
And the fact that Jackson, when he does get on, and not necessarily in this situation because they trail by 4 runs here in the 5th inning, but in closer games, when there is that threat that Jackson might run, Torrey Hunter's going to get a lot of fastballs, just like he did last year when he was batting behind Mike Trout. And Torrey Hunter was able to get a lot of fastballs because there was always that fear that Mike Trout will steal a base.
Jackson last year stole 12 bases. And he drops down a bunt, and a beauty of a bunt. No chance to get Torrey Hunter a bunt single.
Unselfish, outstanding bunt. With Roberts playing very deep behind the bag at third base, Torrey Hunter had one thing in mind, and that was to make sure he got the ball on the grass. It wasn't a great bunt, but he got it on the grass, and because Roberts was playing so deep, there was no chance for him to throw Torrey Hunter out, and that gets the big fella to the dish with a couple of runners in scoring position. Well, at least one in scoring position. Well, I take that back. Every last one of them are in scoring position.
Including Cabrera.
Exactly.
With his power, indeed. But it goes back to the point you were making. Torrey said that, early in his career, he was counted on to drive in runs, hit homers. Now, he knows if he can get on base, he can set up the middle of this lineup.
Miguel is such a smart hitter. The first time up, he got a real good fastball inside. He whistled it right past Zobrist for a base hit and an RBI. The second time up, he got jammed by Hellickson on a good two-seam fastball. Make no mistake about it. He will not get jammed again.
Hellickson now has allowed 7 hits.
'62 hits the opposite way last year, 78 up the middle, and 65 to left.
But not many of the infield variety, and yet he won a batting title. In fact, he's won back-to-back batting titles in the American League.
That's unheard of for a guy that stands 6 feet 5 inches and weighs 240 pounds.
Here's the 1-0. 2-0 on Cabrera, who once again should be in the MVP conversation this year. Verlander won it a couple of years ago, and Cabrera last year back-to-back for the Tigers. American League team hadn't done that since '83 when Robin Yount and Riley Fingers won back-to-back MVPs for Milwaukee. High fly ball, right field, hit well. Anderson going back to the track in front of the wall to make the catch. Jackson will tag and move up. Maybe giving the crowd a little bit of a thrill.
It was a breaking ball. Looked like he hit it off the end of his bat. And because Cabrera, as much as any right-hander in the game, has tremendous power the opposite way.
So here is Fielder with 2 outs. A couple of ground balls for Prince in this game, 0 for 2.
Jackson went over to third. 2 outs, now runners in the third.
Right back up the middle, but there is the shortstop Zobrist. And he'll flip to Roberts to cover, and the inning is over. Let's go to the 6th.
bases-loaded situations with Fisher on the mound. There's Desmond Jennings with a good breaking ball that he had him out front of. They got the force out on second base on this occasion. But then in the fourth inning, the same situation, but there's Luke Scott. Gets a little two-seamer right down in his happy zone, and Luke Scott didn't miss it, and that was the last pitch that Doug Fister threw today.
And as a result of that grand slam, Tampa has a 7-3 lead as we go to the top of the sixth inning now. Kyle Lobstein is still out there for the Tigers. Desmond Jennings, the top of the lineup, leading it off for the Rays. Jennings, Zobrist, and then Joyce. Here's the 1-0. 2 balls, no strikes. Lobstein took over in the fourth inning after the grand slam home run. Fisker knocked out of the game at that point. And he missed again. 3 balls and no strikes. Lobstein in the Southern League last year at Montgomery was second with 129 strikeouts, but he did walk 69. And he's walked one here, the leadoff man in the 6th. Tigers pitching now with 5 base on balls in this game. Here is Ben Zobrist, who is 0 for 3. There's a strike called on Zobrist. Talking about the Rays and their lack of offense. They hit 240 as a team last year, which they hope will change this season. But it's been a while since the team has hit 240 or less and won as many games as they did last year, 90 ball games. They have to go back to 1972. And again, Avila goes down.
Well, they have to have a healthy Evan Longoria this year. If Evan doesn't play more than he's played the last couple of years, they're going to have a very difficult season. As good as their pitching is, you have to have some offense.
Well, they've added James Loney at first base. Yunel Escobar will play short. Here's the 1-1. Tried to hold up, couldn't do it.
As good as Joe Madden is, and he is one of the best managers in the game of baseball at getting the most out of his players. They all have about a $60 million payroll. You talked about the versatility of all the players. They have a lot of fun. They have a loose clubhouse. But you have to have some offense, and Evan Longoria can provide that.
Well, they've taken some steps to add some offense to their organization with the James Shields trade, and Will Myers comes over, the top prospect the Royals had, and Jake Odorizzi, who is one of the top minor league pitchers, comes over as well.
Are you surprised that Myers did not make the big league team?
No, I'm not. I think maybe talent-wise, he certainly belongs, but I think the Rays certainly are conscious of that budget, and starting his arbitration clock, probably something they don't want to do sooner than they have to. That's in a shallow center for Jackson. But I think, sooner or later he will be up this year. 1 out. From all we've heard, Will Myers is going to be a terrific big league hitter, but well, when you give up James Shields, that's a lot of production out of your pitching staff. Not only James Shields, but Wade Davis, what he did out of that bullpen last year. Right. He was great out of that bullpen. Here's Matt Joyce, a walk, otherwise 0 for 2. You talk about the lack of offense, and I don't care how good your pitching staff is. If you've got to go out there and give up 1 or 2 runs to have a chance to win every night, that takes its toll after a while. That it does. And you may get away with it for a season or maybe even a couple of seasons, as they have done. Yeah, but sooner or later, you're going to have some guys drive in some runs. But I think you're right. I think life can be made a whole lot easier for Derek Shelton, their hitting coach, and the entire team if Evan Longoria stays healthy the entire year, because he is a premier talent.
But even if he is healthy, if you're the opposing managers, how much are you going to pitch to him?
Good point. That's pulled just off the glove of Prince Fielder and through. Jennings on his way to third. He's in there standing up.
And we were talking about the fact that Matt Joyce hit just .206 against left-handers last year and really has struggled against left-handers in his career. Gets fisted with a 90-mile-per-hour fastball, and Prince Fielder was holding Jennings on, not able to get off and get it.
So they threaten again now with runners at first and third. This is the first at bat for Leslie Anderson, who's having a nice spring. 425 and 11 RBIs. Prince had to go up there to get that one. Anderson is a native of Cuba. Played in Durham last year, hit .309. Hit for a little bit of power, hit 14 home runs. The 1-0. Pulled under the glove this time of Prince Fielder into right field. Jennings will score. Joyce goes to third. And it's 8-3 Rays.
That ball was hit like a bullet off of Anderson's bat. It's a breaking ball that really doesn't do a whole lot. It gets way too much played, and that ball was by Prince Fielder before he could reach down to pick it up.
.8-3 ball game now. That is the 10th hit of the day for the Rays. And now Sean Rodriguez with runners at first and third. Popped up foul, back out of play. Tigers also this afternoon plan on pitching Luke McConan, Darren Downs, and Phil Cope. They are scheduled to get some work today. Kyle Farnsworth and Dane De La Rosa scheduled to throw as well for the Rays.
And with the exception of McConan, it looks like it's a left-handed bullpen day for Jim Leland's squad.
Showing bunt. Here comes Joyce. He'll score. Rodriguez drives in a run to make it 9-3.
That was not a suicide squeeze. It's more of a safety squeeze. And with Matt Joyce on third base, and Matt Joyce has good base running instincts, once Rodriguez gets the ball down, then Matt Joyce takes off. And even though Lomstein was able to come in and grab the ball rather quickly, he still had no play on Matt Joyce. There's one more look at it. You can see Joyce at third base. He doesn't take off right away. But once he sees the ball hit the dirt, or the grass, I should say, then he takes off for home plate.
So Joe Madden in midseason form as well, calling for the safety squeeze. 9-3 now. Rays in the lead. Here is Shelley Duncan. Adding in Jack Cust's old spot. High towering drive left field. This ball is hit well, way back and gone.
That's what Shelley can do.
Duncan put a charge into that one. The second home run of the day for the Rays, and blowing it open now. 11-3.
And Joe Madden pushing all the right buttons.
Duncan's a guy they feel can add some offense to this team, and there's a good reason why, or a good example. Ball 1 to Ryan Roberts.
And Shelley's one of those guys that you can run out there against some left-handed pitching. Doesn't do very well against right-handers, although he does have a lot of power. And we've seen Shelley the last few years when he was playing for the Cleveland Indians.
Lobstein falls behind. 2 balls, no strikes on Roberts. Fouled straight back. 11 runs on 11 hits. Very efficient today for the Tampa Bay Rays. Roberts reaching out an error and scoring back in the 4th. Make it 2-2 now on Ryan Roberts.
And this all started with a base on balls.
To the leadoff man, Desmond Jennings. Souvenir, congratulations. Let's drill down the left field line. Hooking though and going foul. That last play, he didn't even move off his seat.
And the guy that had that big old glove almost got it. Tried to reach down in front of him.
Pretty impressive right there. Here is Lobstein's 2-2. Another foul. Tigers have an open date tomorrow, and then we're back on the air on Thursday against the Houston Astros. Probably a night game here at the ballpark.
Under the lights.
6:05 start at Joker Marchants. 3-2.
And don't forget to join us on Thursday. You just talked about it. Spring training action. Taking on those Houston Astros. 6 p.m. right here on Fox Sports Detroit.
Swing and a miss. Roberts out of there. Inning over, however. 4 more runs in for the Rays. Baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by Bell Tire. Get the lowest tire price, period. Bell Tire. And by Family Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Family is not just our name, it's the way we do business. Back here in Lakeland, bottom of the 6th inning at Joker Marchant Stadium, 11-3 Tampa. They've hit 2 home runs in this game. Tampa Bay with 11 runs on 11 hits. As we go to the bottom of the 6th inning, it'll be Victor Martinez to lead things off. Martinez has an RBI single in this game. And Victor this spring now with 5 RBIs. Luis Castillo will be next. Meanwhile, Jeremy Hellickson goes back to the mound. This will be his 6th inning of work. And Victor looks at strike one. Martinez 103 RBIs 2 seasons ago. Only 12 home runs. Hit .330. And had he not gone down at the start of last year, Prince Fielder may not be in a Tigers uniform. There's a ball outside. The Tigers made a bid to go get Prince after Martinez went down, and now they got both of them. They are anchoring the middle of a really good 3-4-5.
I don't think there's another 3-4-5 in all of baseball that compares to what we will see this year.
Tap slowly toward first base. That'll be a routine play. One gone. Well, Victor Martinez is certainly back into the lineup for the Tigers. He says he's ready to go after a season away.
I can't wait, and knowing what kind of team we got, I just can't wait to start having fun. It was a long year, but on the other hand, my family made it, made it a lot easier.
Well, it also had to be tough as well to watch his teammates get to the World Series, and all he could do is sit idly by. But hopefully that'll be again the case this year, and hopefully Victor will be part of that.
I was talking to Victor today, and he told me that he started hitting last year about November, about 3 times a week. And it was just busy work. It was off of the batting tee. It was soft toss in the cage. And he said he couldn't wait to get to Lakeland, to get to spring training. Says his body feels good. And he's looking forward to having a really good season.
1 ball, 1 strike on Castillo. His first at bat this afternoon. He'll roll this one to first base. Backhanded there. And there are 2 gone.
There are a lot of guys that if you take a year off from baseball, I really don't care what age you're at in your professional career, it's going to be a struggle for you to regain where you were. But not necessarily for a guy like Victor Martinez. A guy that switch hits, a guy that's won batting titles in the minor leagues.
Well, it's not like he totally stayed away last year. We saw Victor in the clubhouse several times throughout the course of the year, and each time he said, all I can do right now is sit in my living room, watch it on TV, and swing my bat.
Cheerleader.
That's about it. There's Johnny Peralta. Johnny 1 out of 2 today.
Meanwhile, Jeremy Hellickson has settled in very nicely and really is just pitching like he's pitched the last couple of years in a Tampa Rays uniform. He was Rookie of the Year in 2011. He won a Gold Glove last year. And only 2 pitchers, a minimum of 300 innings or more in the American League, have a better ERA than Hellickson the last 2 years, and that would be Weaver and Justin Verlander.
That's pulled down the left field line. Fair ball. Looks like extra bases for Johnny. He's going to take the turn on his way to second, and he pulled in with a stand-up double. 2 out, 2-base hit.
The 89-mile-per-hour 2-seamer at the bottom of the zone that Johnny gets out in front of and whistles down in that left field corner for his first hit of the day. Actually, his second hit of the day.
Tigers as a team now have 8 hits. Here's Alex Avila. Strikeout, ground out. And Hellickson threads the needle on the outside corner, 0-1.
I think Jim is going to watch Avila a lot closer this year and give him a lot more days off with the addition of the backup catcher, Brian Pena.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Of course, the Tigers had a quality backup last year as well in Gerald Laird. There's a ball, though, 1-1. It's a demanding position as it is. It's demanding enough, but the punishment that Avila has taken over the last couple of years with foul tips has just added to that. But he looks good this spring. Says he feels good. Swinging the bat well. Again, on the outside part of the plate, 1-2.
This kid knows how to pitch. And backdoor breaking balls. Good two-seamer, good curveball, good changeup. Likes to attack the zone, keeps the ball low. And we also told you he won a Gold Glove last year. He shared that award with Jake Peavy. First time that ever been two pitchers win a Gold Glove.
Peavy talks to himself a little bit more, though, than Hellickson.
Yes, he does.
You know, one thing that Hellickson has said that James Shields did for him was teach him how to work out. He said, I thought I worked out hard until I got to the big leagues and saw what James Shields did on a daily basis. And he said it left an indelible mark on me. He has really changed his workout regimen based on what Shields used to do. Checked it. Did not go.
Well, it's one of the reasons why James Shields, in the last 6 years in a Rays uniform, and before he was traded to Kansas City, had 200 or more innings pitched.
When Hellickson won the Rookie of the Year award in 2011, he beat out Mark Trumbo, who had a terrific year offensively for the Angels. 2-2 on Alex Avila. We're in the bottom of the 6th. All Rays so far today. Got him. Avila down on strikes. Nothing comes to the 2-out double by Peralta. Really two big blows this afternoon for the Rays.
Luke Scott, grand slam on a fastball, 88 miles an hour off of the starter today, Doug Fister. And then Shelly Duncan, he pinch hit. A little bit later in the game for Jack Cust, and he plays long ball, the first pitch. He sees Kyle Opstein.
Shelly Duncan hit that one to Gatorland. Here's the rest of the game summary. Doug Fister, 3 2/3, did not have it today. The Rays offense, well, you saw most of it. The Tigers 3, 4, and 5, 2 out of 9 today with a couple of RBIs. You ever been to Gatorland?
I have. I have been to Gatorland. It's been a while. When my kids were a lot younger, took them over to Gatorland.
Do they have real gators there?
Yes, they do.
Never been to Gatorland.
Now, you can walk outside here in the back of Tiger Town and see a gator if you really want to see one.
Gatorland is anywhere you walk here in Florida. Darren Downs, the new pitcher now for the Tigers.
How about the season or the spring that Darren Downs has had? Sub-1 ERA. He is pitching in his 10th game. He has logged almost 11 innings, 3 walks, 8 hits, 10 strikeouts, and very much in the mix of making this Tigers 25-man roster.
What a great story he was last year, and you see his numbers this spring, and he'll get a chance to pitch here in the 7th inning as Cole Figueroa leads it off. Lobstein out of the game. Downs is in, and Figueroa is hit.
What's your take on Downs and how this bullpen is going to shake out? I mean, obviously there's still the question with Rondon whether he closes or not, and if he doesn't close, do they decide to put him down in the minor league so he can get the valuable closing experience? But if he does start the season in the minors, that might open up the door for a guy like Downs to make the team, even if Smiley is in the bullpen. That would give the Tigers 3 left-handers out there.
You know, there's so many moving parts in that bullpen based on A, who's going to win that 5 spot, as you mentioned with Smiley, and B, how Rondon does and where he starts this year. But Darren Downs has proved he can pitch in the big leagues, and really was one of the great stories last year after all the time he spent 9.5 years in the minors. Are you kidding? He finally gets his first shot.
I mean, he almost literally, I mean, lost his life being hit by a ball hit right back at him a few years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was a scary situation for Downs. And he suffered a fractured skull 3 years ago.
Such a quality kid, and he's pitched really well in spring training, and he pitched very well for the Tigers last year when they called him up.
Swing and a miss. Lobatone.
As you mentioned, Smiley and Porcello still fighting for that that 5th spot in the rotation.
Well, managers obviously love to have as many left-handed options as they can at the back of their bullpen, and Phil Koch will be the main lefty.
The thing that Jim has, and an advantage for him, is the fact that Villarreal and Albuquerque both are really good against left-handed batters.
Yeah, good point. This is Mike Fontenot getting his first at bat here this afternoon. Desmond Jennings out of the game. Fontenot takes it outside. Two 2-0 the count. Kirk Casale is behind the plate for Alex Avila now. So the changes are rolling in. There goes the runner. In the air. Right field. And caught. Nice running play. And scampering back is Figueroa. Stephen Moya made a nice running play on that ball. Got a great jump.
Figueroa, don't even try it, bro.
Moya is a big boy. He's about 6 feet 7 inches.
Two gone. Here's Jason Bourgeois. His first at bat as well. And we've got a balk called on Downs. So move Figueroa up. Typically the time of a ball game here in spring camp where the score sheet is a mess. As we look at the balk by Downs. Yep, there's that brief little start again, that little hitch. Can't do that. That'll get away from Casale. Move the runner up.
I knew Figueroa didn't have his speed. He's already on third. Wow. He's crawling around the base. That's what he's making.
Bourgeois had a lot of big league time with KC, Houston, Milwaukee, White Sox as well. Outside.
A couple of days ago, the Tampa squad was almost no hit. And Bourgeois got a base hit in the 9th inning. against the Boston Red Sox. As a matter of fact, he broke up a perfect game.
Swing and a miss.
John Lester started that game for Boston. He had pitched 6 innings. Tampa gets no hit quite often.
They do. Two and one. Remember a couple of years ago we did a broadcast here. I think it was against the Marlins where the Tigers got no hit.
I do remember that.
A bunch of different Marlins. I think Ricky Nolasco started that.
He sure did.
And a bunch of different Marlins were able to finish it off. A spring training no-hitter just doesn't seem to carry as much punch as one in the regular season. 2-2. Jason Bourgeois. Make it 3-2.
It's been a very long spring, for a lot of these guys. They're not complaining, but it has been a very long spring for a lot of these players because of the World Baseball Classic and teams having to get those players ready for their competition. The other players had to show up at the same time, and there's guys that have been down here for almost a couple months now.
High, towering fly ball to left center field. Looks like it's playable. And Downs will get out of trouble here in the 7th. Stretch time. Ball on Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by Comerica Bank, a part of Detroit and the community since 1849. Your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. Visit ChevyDetroit.com. See why Chevy drives the Motor City. And by Wallside Windows. For a free in-home estimate, call 1-800-521-7800. Back here in Lakeland, where it's been all Tampa Bay today. 11-3 is our score as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Ball's still working it, Rod.
Overtime today.
Tiger tickets available, 866-66-TIGER or Tigers.com. And Paws just might take your call this afternoon. Big season of Tigers baseball coming up. Your chance to get in on the fun. Buy your Tiger tickets. There's the phone number. Meanwhile, we have a new pitcher now for the Tampa Bay Rays. That would be former Tiger Kyle Farnsworth. First pitch rolled toward the shortstop. 2 steps to his right. And safe at first base. He pulled Anderson off the bag. Brandon Loy is aboard.
Now that is number 46, Jeff Coburness.
Now Jeff Coburness will hit. Here the numbers this spring on Mr. Farnsworth.
Hasn't given up a run yet. He's been in 3 games, only 3 innings. He had an injury-plagued season last year. His record a season ago for Tampa, 1-6 with a 4 ERA and limited pitching time.
Obernus back out of there. Kyle Farnsworth stands 6'4", 230. Pitched effectively in Detroit 2005, and there was some thought the Tigers might be able to keep him, but he went to Atlanta later that season. 2-0 is hit on the ground to third. This looks like a tailor-made 5-4-3. And it is 2 gone.
Even though Coburness can run and he's known for his speed. That ball was nicely turned over by the Tampa Bay Rays. Coburness has gotten a long look here in spring training. Rule 5 drafted player. We were talking about Kyle Lobstein earlier, who's a Rule 5 drafted player as well in camp. But Coburness is property. Well, if the Tigers don't keep him on the 25-man roster, they have to offer him back to the Washington Nationals.
Stephen Moya swings on the first pitch, and a nice pick down there at first by Anderson, and just like that, Farnsworth has himself a snappy 7th inning. Tigers baseball this afternoon presented by Bell Tire. Top 8 here in Lakeland. 11-3 is our score. The Tigers go right back to the bullpen, and left-hander Phil Koch will get some action today.
Phil Koch was tremendous down the stretch for the Tigers. As a matter of fact, he was closing games for the Tigers down the stretch when Jose Valverde started to struggle a bit. He is fine-tuning whatever he does, whether it be the fastball, curve, slide of the change for the regular season. He is one guy that is a definite in that Tigers bullpen.
One guy that really stepped up in the postseason last year when Jose Valverde faltered, it was Koch, who stepped into some high-pressure situations, got the job done, and I'll not soon forget the spiking of his glove after a big save to propel the Tigers into the World Series.
Phil Koch had a lot left in his tank at the end of the year. His fastball was clocked at 95, 96. And just about every time he went out there late in the season.
So Koch will go to work. Looks like Mikey Matuk will lead things off now for the Rays, and he drives one to right center field. Ball is hit well and run down in center by Jeff Coburness.
That's some of that speed that we just talked about that Coburness has. He's an infielder by trade, but he has learned to play some outfield. He gets a really good jump on this ball, and the wind knocked it down a little bit, but it's still real good speed by Jeff.
Leslie Anderson now will step in, and we'll check in with Darren Downs here momentarily, who's standing by. He's going to share a couple of minutes with us. Anderson's second at bat of the game, and he looks at a ball inside. Let's check in with Darren Downs. Darren, welcome. We appreciate you taking some time to talk about your camp so far. Things have gone splendidly for you, it appears.
Yeah, it's gone pretty good, you know. Good camp here. The weather's starting to warm up, so that's always nice.
How much of a difference does that make, Darren, in terms of what pitchers go through? Obviously, it was kind of cool here the first couple of weeks at camp, but now you're able to get loose, I would think, a little bit better.
Yeah, you know, it's tough, but it's nothing more than we're going to experience all season. So,
Darren, when you find yourself down here and you guys have been in spring training for as long as you guys have been, how do you guys keep yourself sharp having to spend so much time in that bullpen?
You know, just like during the season, if your number's not called, you just, you know, get some work, some flat ground work, some you know, little bullpen work with Jonesy.
You know, Darren, think back to last year. Obviously, you were one of the great stories. We talked about Quentin Berry spending a lot of times in the minor leagues, but you spent over 9 years in the minors. What was that first big league opportunity like for you last year?
Oh, it was just incredible. Just speechless, you know, to say the least, but just a lot of emotion for me and my family, and I'm just blessed to get that opportunity.
What are you working on down here? Obviously, you did a very nice job when you got called up last year. We well documented that. But, you know, coming into spring training, there's some guys that work on specific pitches. Have you had the luxury of doing that, knowing that basically every time you go out there, you're trying to make one of those spots out there in that bullpen?
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm working on my changeup. It's a hit or miss. I've been spiking a few lately, but yeah, I'm trying to be a little bit tougher on righties, and you know, just continue to throw strikes and get ahead. You know, do the cliche things and for pitching.
Koch unable to handle the toss. And so safe at first base is Leslie Anderson. We're chatting with Darren Downs here in spring training. And Darren, are you one of those guys that can think back to your first major league hitter you faced and just go through pitch by pitch and remember that whole at bat?
Yeah, I could pretty much remember the whole my whole first outing. But yeah, my first hitter, Justin Morneau, and I believe I threw him a curveball, and it was actually supposed to be a pick or a step off. I was too busy looking up in the upper deck. So.
You know, it's funny you mentioned the upper deck, because that's one of the things Jim Leland talks about. It's a whole lot different in the big leagues with those 2 extra decks. How much did that come into play with you when you finally stepped foot in a big league field?
It was I was kind of in awe, you know, when I first walked out there for BP the first time, and I was just, you know, looking around, and just my head was up in the sky, and I was just taking everything in.
Rich Thompson, the batter here, with 1 on, 1 out for the Rays. Balled inside.
Darren, I know you probably have a really nice relationship with Mike Rojas, the bullpen coach, the pitching coach, Jeff Jones, of course. But what pitchers out there in that bullpen has been instrumental in kind of, you know, helping you make that transition that you did last year, and even in the spring training this year, that you have a good relationship with?
Yeah, Phil Koch, you know, he's just been a friend to me, and he's just kind of like taking me by by his side, and just, you know, we just talk through hitters, and we talk about life, and, you know, just, you know, he just helps make sure that, you know, I'm not getting in any trouble, I'm doing the right thing, and, you know, down in the bullpen, we just, you know, go through just situations and everything in the game.
Thompson fouls one back out of play. Rich Thompson, the hitter. You know, Darren, you mentioned that, you know, you were so blessed to get the opportunity last year, but if people don't know your story, you suffered a fractured skull 3 years ago. And was there a time where, obviously, it threatened your life, but was there a time where you thought you might not pitch again?
Yeah, immediately after I got home, after about a two week stay in the hospital, and I was just like, I was kind of depressed, you know, still not feeling good, and I was just like, man, I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I'm going to go out there and, you know, risk that injury or, you know, self-harm again. And God, I'm here today.
Major League Baseball, I know they were tinkering with the idea of having some padded health hats for the pitchers, you know, because of, you know, some of the injuries that pitchers have had the last couple of years. We watched Doug Fister last year get hit in the postseason. Also, Brandon McCarthy was hit last year. What was your take on those hats with the extra padding in them, or did you see any of those hats?
Actually, I got 2 pairs sent to me. They didn't fit, but they're a great idea for, you know, it's nothing mandatory, I don't think. But, you know, if somebody wants, you know, extra protection and it feels 100% comfortable and, you know, they're comfortable wearing it, I'm all for it.
Well, Darren, we're all for you, watching you pitch. We appreciate you taking some time. Great job last year. Best of luck this season, and thanks very much.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that's Darren Downs and sharing some of his thoughts here this afternoon. And again, Rod, he's just had a terrific spring.
Well, he's pitched well enough to make the team. I don't know how the numbers will shake out. He's probably one of those guys that has some minor league options that they could send down. Just depends on whether they go with Smiley out there, Rondon out there. There's lots of different options that Jim can go with, but Darren Downs has pitched well enough to make the team.
Thompson, meanwhile, strikes out for the second out of the inning. We'll bring up Shelley Duncan. Coke coming on here in the 8th. Doug Fister started here this afternoon, gave way to Lobstein. (11-3) is our score as we play here in the 8th inning. Duncan hit the 2-run homer in the 6th inning. One of 2 long balls today for the Rays. It's a ball inside, 1-0. Shelley's always been an intriguing guy because he's so big, because of the natural pure power that he has. Here's the 1-0. Here's some of that pure power. He hit that one a mile to the top of the berm. That was in the 6th. Shelley began his career with the New York Yankees. And the 1-1. 1-2.
Good change up there by Phil Coke at 80 miles an hour. And that's where you locate. That's what Lobstein was trying to do back in the 6th inning when Duncan hit the home run. He didn't get his ball down in that area. Therefore, Duncan was able to get to it.
Coke ahead 1-2. Off the plate. Talk about Phil's postseason and how key it was for the Tigers last year. 5 2/3 scoreless innings against the Yanks in the ALCS, and he saved 2 of the 4 victories. The Tigers, of course, sweeping that series over the Yankees. He's ready with the 2-2 pitch. And he got him. Tried to hold up. Duncan is out, and that is that for the Rays. So we'll go to the bottom of the 8th. Darren Lakeland.
Your vote is our We found that out last year. People thought we were going to be a cakewalk. It doesn't work that way. I mean, we have a very good team. There's no question about that. We have a very, very good team. We have very good guys, very good players, but now you got to play good. And, you know, I'm sure that the rest of the division is getting tired of hearing about how good the Tigers are. You know, I don't, that's why I kind of low-key that, stay away from it. If we play as good as we sound and as good as the names read on the back, we'll be pretty good.
Well, of course, the Tigers had to manage expectations last year, and it really wasn't until late in the season, Rob, they were able to turn it on. Otherwise, for most of the year, it was kind of disappointing.
White Sox stayed around a lot longer than a lot of people thought that they would stay around. They struggled down the stretch the last couple of weeks. That allowed the Tigers to take over the division. And then once the Tigers got into the postseason, they started to play like the Tigers that everybody thought they would early in the season.
Brandon Gomes is the new pitcher out of the pen now for the Rays.
Gomes very much in the mix for one of those final spots in that bullpen, and his numbers indicate this spring he's done nothing to discourage Joe Madden or Jim Hickey, their pitching coach, from adding him on to the 25-man roster.
Kevin Russo flies out to center field, one gone.
Number 68, Matt Tuiasosopo.
Here's Matt Tuiasosopo, who over the last, couple of weeks has really turned it on.
He's got a lot of pop in that bat. And I was talking to Tuiasosopo early in spring training, and he was struggling a little bit. He was probably 0 for his first 13 at-bats, but the more Jim ran him out there, the more comfortable he got, and he has started to swing the bat well lately.
Ball one to Tuiasosopo, who was signed by the Tigers as a minor league free agent in November.
Now his batting average is up over 300 with 3 homers and 8 RBIs.
Tuiasosopo has a very famous name. Of course, his father Manu was a defensive lineman with Seattle. His brother Marcus, a quarterback with the Raiders and the Jets. 2-0 on Tuiasosopo. Popped up foul, back out of play. If I gave you one shot to spell Tuiasosopo without looking, could you do it?
No.
I couldn't either. One of the longer last names in camp. That's driven to left center field. They'll get down a base hit. Tuiasosopo continues to swing it.
Well, we've well documented the fact that the Tigers have made known that they're looking for a right-handed batter to put in the outfield to complement Andy Dirks, and Tuiasosopo just continues to flourish down the stretch.
Big, powerful swing, and that's been on display this spring. Here's Travis standing in for his first at bat. He skies one in the air to left field. Ball's hit pretty well. It's gone back, and that ball is gone. A 2-run shot for Devon Travis. He's a little guy, but he hit that one a long way.
He got it up in that jet stream. No stride.
Just no run of the afternoon for the Tigers. Makes it 11-5. That was red foul. Luis Castillo, the hitter. Oh, what a thrill that's got to be for Travis. Step on over to big league camp at a big league game, hit a 2-run shot.
First runs Gomes have given up this spring.
1 ball, 1 strike.
Travis hit 3 home runs last year playing for Connecticut.
Get back out of play. Luis Castillo, a native of Panama. Spent last year splitting time between West Michigan and here in Lakeland. Bouncing ball right side. And Castillo is out, 2 away.
What are you going to do tonight? You're going to try to go watch a little bit of the World Baseball Classic somewhere, championship game?
You know, I didn't think I'd be into it, but I've gotten a little bit more into it this year. So probably, I would think so.
Fernando Rodney, we were talking about him earlier. He's closed all 6 victories for the Dominican squad.
There's the info on that game. Puerto Rico against the Dominican Republic at 8 o'clock tonight on the MLB Network. And you know, Joe Madden was talking about the fact that obviously Rodney is his closer, so there is some concern with the workload he has had. That has popped up. Shallow right field, and Anderson is under it. And that is that. So the inning is over. Tigers get 2 on the home run by Travis.
Forget that you can join us again on Thursday at 6 p.m. for more spring training baseball when the Tigers take on the Houston Astros. That's Tigers baseball Thursday at 6 p.m. right here on Fox Sports Detroit. And guess who's going to be on the mound there, buddy?
That guy. He's pretty good, Justin Verlander. Little toe to slab. Also pretty good is Phil Koch, who is going to join us here in a smidge. 11-5 is our score as we go to the 9th inning. And Luke Conan warming up, and a pleasure to welcome in Phil Koch. Phil, my first question has nothing to do with baseball. I want to know how things are at home now after you welcomed in your daughter last year in July, I believe it was. Mackenzie, you guys getting some sleep?
I'm getting quite a bit more than my wife is. She's taking care of 2 kids apparently. She's taking really good care of me too, allowing me to get sleep, especially on days I'm going to throw. So tonight it's my night, because with the day off tomorrow, I'll probably be up all night.
Well, how much has it changed your life?
Off the field, it's awesome. On the field, I mean, you know, there's a level of concentration that has to be there, and late in the year after she was born, I was having a little bit of trouble staying focused, but now it's like I can separate the two a little bit more. I know she's going to be there. I know everything's cool. I know what's going on for the most part, so it's a lot easier on me now.
Phil, from a baseball standpoint, we know that you're the ultimate competitor, and how much were you looking forward to getting back to spring training this year due to the fact that the taste that was left in your mouth last year and your teammates after what the Giants did to you in the World Series?
Well, I'm excited to get going again, because I feel like we have a lot to prove. I feel like we have a little chip on our shoulder, which is a good thing. I mean, you go there, and that's the goal, to get there and to play well. And I felt like didn't quite play to the best of our ability, and I think that that left a little bit of a sour taste in everybody's mouth, and everybody's itching to get going again.
It's a team game, Phil. We all know that. But individually, one man's struggles can be another man's opportunity. And for you, that was the case last year in the postseason. And, you know, it's one thing to get that opportunity in pressure-packed games, but it's another thing to come through. That had to really make you feel good on what you did in the postseason.
Well, I wasn't going to argue with anybody as far as them giving me the ball. I was very honored that Skipper came to me and handed me the ball when he did, and that I was able to go out there and perform as well as I did, and for the team as well as for the city and the state of Michigan. So it was quite an honor and really fun.
I noticed that last half inning that you pitched, you used a few change-ups out there, but down the stretch when you were closing games for the Tigers, I mean, that fastball, 95, 96, it's a whole different mindset pitching that ninth inning versus maybe coming in the seventh or even the eighth inning, isn't it?
It's a different feel for sure, especially when you're coming in against a team that had been really hot to that point, you know, facing the Giants as well as the Yankees. I mean, everybody talked about how bad their offense was, but I think our pitching was just that good at that time. I mean, we matched up perfectly, and I mean, everybody did what they needed to do, and we were able to get them done and out of the way and moved on to the World Series. And I don't think our pitching was bad there either. I felt like our pitching was definitely our strong point. We had a few games, obviously, that didn't go exactly the way we scripted, but we had pretty good showing as far as our pitching staff was concerned. So.
The other thing, Phil, is that you did that against a team that you broke in with, the New York Yankees. Was there any extra incentive, or any extra good feeling about that when you got it done?
Always. Always.
Honest answer.
I mean, you want to do well every time out, and there's always a little bit, you know, in the back of your mind, like, you know, okay, now it's my turn to go against you, and you're going to get everything I got, and you gave everything while you were there, so they know what you're about. So I didn't want them to think that I was rolling over for them at all. So I think I did okay there.
Phil, from your standpoint, is there a number of innings that you'd like to get to for yourself to make sure and to know that when the team gets to Minnesota and they're ready to tee it up on April 1st, that you've worked on everything and you're raring to go?
I feel like I'm raring to go right now. I mean, I've thrown not a ton of innings, but I definitely feel like I've got the work I needed to get in place, and the strides I've made each time out have been progressively better, and velocity's been good, location's been pretty good. My last time out wasn't as good as I would have liked it to. I wasn't getting any run or fade on the two-seamer, but that's why we're down here. So.
Stephen Vogt is the batter now with 2 outs here against Pregame in the ninth. And before we let you go, Phil, I do want to get your thoughts on the rookie Rondon that you've spent some time with in the bullpen now. A lot has been said about him. And what are your views on what this kid can do and his talent level?
Well, I mean, obviously his talent level is right where it needs to be. I think that he's got a lot of naysayers to quiet, and I look forward to watching him go about his business and see how he prepares himself for whatever role he's actually placed into, whether it's the closer or the setup man or the setup to the setup man. I mean, or even the long guy, whatever he's needed to do. I'm interested to see how he goes about his work, and I think that he's gonna do pretty well. So.
There is a 2-out, 2-base hit for Stephen Vogt. And for you, Phil Koch, we appreciate you taking some time. Best of luck this year. We look forward to seeing you throughout the circuit in the AL. Good luck, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Phil Koch and his thoughts. Of course, Phil will be a vital part of the back end of the Tigers bullpen.
He has been that since he has put on the Tigers uniform, whether Jim has gone to him in the 7th, the 8th, or even down the stretch last year in the 9th. Phil Koch has been really good in the Tigers uniform.
So a 2-out, 2-base hit for Vogt. There's Fontenot getting his second at bat, and he looks at a strike right at the knees. The double by Vogt is the 12th hit of the afternoon for the Rays. And Pregame missed outside, 1-1.
Tigers have 11 hits themselves, but it's been a couple of big home runs for Tampa that has caused this lopsided score this afternoon.
Yeah, one of those the grand slam by Scott, the other the 2-run shot by Cust. Fouled off. 1-2. I beg your pardon, Duncan, not Cust. Duncan batting in Cust's spot. 1-2 on Fontenot. So the Tigers today have had Pfister, they've had Downs, Piccone getting some action here. Phil Coke pitched. Driven to right field. And that is that for the Rays. Nothing comes of the 2-out double. We are going to the bottom of the ninth.
We know we have a good team. We just got to go out there and put it all together. And it starts here in spring training. Your chemistry, your camaraderie, your timing, and different things like that. It starts here. You can't just go out in spring training because you have a veteran team or guys that put up some numbers that did some things, some stars. You can't just say, hey, I'm good. We're going to go. We'll be ready for the season no matter what. We want to just get in here, you know, get the chemistry, get the timing, get used to playing with each other, and go from there.
Across to Torrey Hunter, and a few teams last year kind of figured that out. It doesn't matter what the names are on the lineup, you still have to get it done on the field. The Tigers heading to the bottom of the ninth, trailing in this one 11-5. And they will face a new pitcher for the Rays. That would be Dane De La Rosa.
And Dane De La Rosa has some elevated numbers this spring. 10.38 ERA, 6 games, and just 4 1/3 innings. It's only given up 7 hits, but that can happen when you have not logged many innings and you give up 5 runs in just 7 innings. You're going to get an elevated earned run average.
Kurt Casale will lead things off for the Tigers in the bottom of the ninth. Big inning, the 6-run fourth for the Rays, highlighted by the grand slam. Luke Scott hit it. Here's the 0-1 coming to Casale. 1 ball, 1 strike. Kurt last year spent part of the season right here in Lakeland, hit .250. Also played 48 games at West Michigan, hit .288. High fly ball right field. Got to stay in the park though, and 1 gone. Brandon Lloyd. Lloyd had a base hit his first at bat. Missed it outside. 2 balls, no strikes.
It's an absolute joy for a lot of these young players that walk across the street from Tigertown and get an opportunity to come into a ball game late here for the big club.
Well, Travis hit the 2-run homer, got his opportunity in the 8th, made good on it. Loy is out of Dallas, Texas. 5th-round pick of the Tigers just a couple of years ago, 2011. And he played his college ball at the University of Texas.
Good baseball school.
The 3-1 pitch. And for strike 3 and 2 now on Brandon Loy. Last year at West Michigan, hit .240. This is his 3rd professional season. He'll shoot that one foul back out of play. Three and 2 on Loy. And that one again heading back toward the seats, and out of play it goes. Another souvenir. And some hat head to go with it. There you go, young man. Much better look that way. Here's the 3-2 pitch, and he walked him. No, he got him. Lloyd takes a right turn, looks back. Yeah, don't play umpire Leonard Vanderbilt. Let's see.
That's one of those where a young man, you know, we've been here for about 3.5 hours, and it's a 3-2 count. You've got to get that bat off your shoulder.
So that'll leave it up to Coburnus. He didn't do a double play back in the 7th. Ooh, he chased. 0-1. That last fastball at 94.
Yeah, with that velocity up around the letters, or the neck, I should say, very difficult for anybody to catch up to.
One ball, one strike on Coburnus. What do you think? He's got some speed. Certainly is getting as long a look as anybody down here.
He has gotten a very long look. But I think with the fact that Tuiasa Sopo in the last week or so has really performed so well, and that it might be tough to carry Jeff on the 25-man roster. Quentin Berry, I watched him run the other day. He's not healthy right now. At least he appeared to me that he's not healthy.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So, I mean, I don't know what the situation is going to end up. I'm a fan of Quentin's, and Quentin played so well last year.
Coburnus will fly out to right field to end the ball game. Tigers go 1-2-3 in the 9th inning. So the Rays come to Lakeland, and they put up 11 runs on 12 hits and walk away with an 11-5 victory. Back to a whole lot more from Lakeland after this.